Today I'm going to be making Rikkus daggers from Final Fantasy X-2. Now these aren't a very complicated design, so I'm just going to be using foam core with a little bit of doweling for reinforcements. Now to start off with, you're going to have a drawing of it. I have these ones which I've made and they're scaled to me, which I'll be putting on my Facebook page where I keep most of my drawings. And to start off with, you get your sheet of foam core and then draw the dimensions off of your scaled drawings onto it. Once you've drawn the outline of the prop onto the piece of foam core, you're going to have to do it another 2 times. So you have 3 thick and cut them all out. But the good way to do it is to cut out the first one, then draw around that, then just use that one to reproduce it. If you're doing both daggers, you're going to have to reproduce it 6 times. Now that all the blades are cut out, you've got loads of these templates. Now cut out all the little circles around the edges with the little notches. We'll only do that on one layer, because then I'm going to punch those same notches through all of them once they're all stuck together. It just means that I end up with the same notches all the way through, which should end up looking better than having them all misaligned and having to file one out. Especially with the delicate little bits per there, which would be destroyed in the filing process. So it's best to do it all at the end. Okay, the next process is to get a piece of doweling, which is nearly the full length of the blade, like that. Now this is going to be a little bit of reinforcing in the center of the 3 layers. Once you've done that, you can either do 1 or 2. I've chosen to do 2, but 1 wouldn't make that much of a difference and probably work better than what I'm doing. But once you've cut that out, you get the bits of doweling, you're sticking up the middle, and draw around them on a centerpiece as such. You determine which one's going to be the center by looking at the worst one that you have, as in the worst cut out of the forms, because you don't want that one being on the outside anyway. Then you cut out the space for the doweling, and you do the same on the inside of the second, because we're making 2 of them. And once you've done that, we're ready to start sticking together. You get a bottom one, which is going to be one with a complete circle on the bottom. And then you stick the cutter or the cutout one onto it. Then you do the doweling up the center once those 2 have stuck, and then you stick the 3rd one with the notches out on the top. Now, on that one, I've cut all of the little notches through. I've also cut this little bit here, which is going to be a ring on top like that. And once this is ready, I'm going to stick one of them on each side, and that's already got the little notches cut out of it as well. Now before I stick that on, I'm going to cut this or file this bit down to make an edge on it, and curve off the edge here, just to make it more like the original. I'm doing that before I put this bit on, because it's difficult to sand and file with this on already, and then stick that on top. Once all the filing's done. So now we're starting off with a rasp, then heading my way down to a regular file, then sandpaper, then doing it with an electric sander with fine sandpaper. It's just to give it a nice edge at the end. But when you're going to be cutting an edge on it, draw where you want your blade to stop on the top of it. So just draw a pencil mark of how far you want your edge to go up, and then that gives you a reference whilst you're cutting it. I've now cut the 4 little discs to go around the handles. I've done all of them, cut the notches out, and sanded the edges, which means that they're ready to go on, and it just softens the edges, so it just looks better at the end anyway. Okay, so I'm going to stick them on. Then I might do the little rivets that are supposed to go in there. I might not. They're quite fiddly and difficult to cut out, and I'm not that bothered whether they're there or not. But if you really want them, just cut a circle out of foam core, and stick it in. But that's if you're really bothered about it. Then once I've stuck that on, I'm going to get silicone sealant and put it across the edges of the blade where it needs sealing before it goes to paint. And inside there, It just gives it all a flat edge and just looks better. And of course tidy up any little bits of mess like that left over from the cutting and sanding, just so it's ready to go, and like smooth out the inside of here as well. I've now covered both blades with silicone sealant. I would say in the end I had to use my hands to do it, to get into all the smaller places, and I would suggest, if you're going to do that, well, not suggest, more than actually do it, of wearing gloves to keep that stuff off your skin. I don't know what bad it would do to your skin, but you know, it's better to not get it on you in the first place than to find out what's bad about it afterwards. Okay, and now they're going to go off, get painted. They're getting one solid layer of red across them. Then I'm going to paint gold on top. I've now painted both of the daggers as such. I've only done a base coat of red, and then I'm going to paint the yellow onto the handle by hand. I'm just using acrylic paint for that. For the paint on the blades and the handles, I've just used red spray paint and left it to dry for however long it says. Okay, so it's literally just paint on the acrylic by hand, and then they're nearly done. I've done the final layers of paint on these blades. Now, when I painted these, the yellow wasn't thick enough to cover the red straight off, so I needed to do a layer of white underneath first. As you can see in little bits there, where you can actually see that it's not exactly, well, I missed a little bit. I would say there's not much I would do to improve these, because they're using foamcore, and that's a it's a relatively simple material to use, so you don't come out with perfect results off of it. And then you're going to get stuff like that little line there because of the layering of the boards, but that's just part of the material you're working with. So again, good luck to anyone who attempts this, if you're going to, and even if you don't use mine, good luck.